Man, I'll punch you in your mouth. Get the fuck out of here with that. It's a character. It's not real.
Still Snoop Dogg and D.R.E. Nah, nigga.
Guess who's back?
Still doing that shit, Andre?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Check me out. It's still Dre Day, nigga.
Welcome back, everybody, to That's Tough Talk Show. Today, I'll be bringing you a podcast with an actor from Hollywood. This American actor is known for his roles in film, television, and theater. He has appeared in a wide range of movies and TV shows, often portraying characters with a tough or streetwise demeanor. He has appeared in films such as Ray, Rush Hour, Menace to Society, and Dead Presidents. He's also had notable roles in television series like South Central, Army Wives, and Saints and Sinners. His versatile acting skills has earned him recognition and respect in the entertainment industry. Clifton Powell, welcome to the show. Clifton Powell, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Man, I'm so glad to be here.
So we're going to hop straight into it. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
I grew up in Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C., as a matter of fact. Tough area in D.C., and my mother died pretty tragically when I was 4, and my dad was what I would call a dysfunctional alcoholic. I was raising myself at 7. My babysitter had rats. So when I was 6.5, I told my dad, I said, if we move, I'm good. I don't need a babysitter. So at 7, I was raising myself. But my dad met a lady named Imogene Johnson, God rest her soul. She had a son named Daryl Harvey, who basically took me under his wing. He was probably 17 and I was 8. And he just took care of me, was there when my dad wasn't there. And I grew up in a big apartment complex. It was huge. And, people in the neighborhood. And then back in the day, teachers would take you in, maybe bring you lunch. And so I had a lot of good, great teachers. But Daryl was really instrumental. And then my sister, God rest her soul, I spent the weekends at her house to get me out of the hood, to kind of expose me to another, I would say another environment, not as tough. And was raised with my sister's children, and that's it. That's how I grew up, man. And it was just a blessing that I met Daryl because, where I lived, in Mayfair, Parkside area in D.C., and people from D.C. know that area. It was pretty rough, and I was in church, every Sunday, and so they kept me out of trouble. And I think that's why I'm sitting here because. If I hadn't got out of the hood, I probably wouldn't be sitting right here. I'd probably be locked up somewhere for real,
So for you saying the hood as a thing you had to go through, me being someone who was raised in a middle class environment, was the hood like a barrier that you had to get out of to become who you are today?
There are different class levels in America. It's upper class, middle class, and lower class. And my dad was a working class guy, so technically we would have been lower middle class. But, back in the day, right across the streets from lower middle class folks were the roughest projects in D.C. And you mingled, and it was rough, And I think because of the economic situations and the imbalance in this country, you have a lot of working class people with a lot of people who are not working, of all colors, So it can be tough. I grew up with a lot of guys that ended up in jail or doing drugs or selling drugs or robbing banks and stuff like that. So luckily, because my sister was always there and Daryl was always there and my teachers, I was able to get out of that environment.
Do you ever go back?
Oh, yeah. I go back all the time to D.C., and I visit my old neighborhood, Most of the, we're talking about back in the 60s and the 70s, and most of those people have even moved on. Some have passed on, so every now and then they have reunions, but my schedule has been so crazy I haven't been able to make one. So, but yeah, I go back.
Wow. At what point in your life did you realize the performing arts was for you?
I don't think I ever realized that. I wanted to play football. In fact, I was just texting or DMing Darryl Green, who played for the Redskins, and I told him I wanted to be Charlie Taylor because he just got inducted. And I said I wanted to be Charlie Taylor. He says, wow. So I never wanted to be an actor. I was the class clown and all that. But back in my day, I always wanted to be a football player. And I kind of fell into this.
So how did you dive into it? What was or could you give a story about your first acting gig?
I think what happened was I wanted to play football, and I played in the neighborhood. And I think in the 8th grade, my nephew's sportscaster, James Brown. So JB, everybody in the DMV area knows JB around the country.
Yeah.
You've seen him on Fox and CBS and all that stuff. JB was a big-time basketball star, and his mom was my sister. And my sister and I had the same mom who passed away tragically when I was 4. My mom told my sister to stay close to me. Don't take him from his father, but make sure you stay close. So on the weekends, I left the hood Friday afternoon and was there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go back to school on Monday. And that was every weekend until I went to high school. So in the 8th grade, I decided that I wanted to go to DeMatha to be like JB, not back, because I was horrible in basketball. In fact, some of my friends, if you ever met from DC, they'd say Cliff was the only guy we ever met who didn't want to go in the basketball game because I was just too nervous because I never played. So I played 1 year at DeMatha of football, and I kept getting in trouble in detention with some of the white guys because it was like basically, I would say DeMatha at that time was like 90% white. But cool, I didn't grow up with the kind of racism that people have experienced here in the South and around the country. So I was in detention like more than I was in class, and it was an all-boys school. So I said to myself, I got to get out of here. So I transferred from DeMatha, and some of the guys in my neighborhood went to St. Anthony's, which was another Catholic high school, but it was more integrated. And that didn't make a big difference. It's just that my buddies weren't there, and I didn't know anybody, so I wasn't in detention every day. And that summer before I went to went from DeMatha to St. Anthony's.
This is the transformation?
Yes, this is a transformation. The summer, I played 1 year football at DeMatha, and I was really little. I was, I think, at 15, I was like 160, but I was really fast, and I could catch and I could jump, but I just kept getting in trouble, and I was like, I don't think I need to be in all-boys school. So some of the guys in my neighborhood went to St. Anthony's, which is a Catholic high school in the city, more integrated, cool, but it's just as cool as DeMatha was. And I saw a play that summer, I'd never seen a play before, because, Quietus kept, people talk about Pookie, my man from the hood. If you don't grow up in that environment, man, your world is maybe as big as this room. And if you're not exposed either through family or friends or teachers, you live in that bubble, So I'd never seen a play, So I was like, what was that? They was like, that was a play. I was like, I think I could do that shit. And I was like, I was just messing around. I wasn't even serious.
Yeah.
And so when I got to St. Anthony's, they were doing a play called Little Abner. So I had a teacher named Mr. Redden, white guy, really funny white guy, talks like, he says, I said, Mr. Redden, I think I want to do the play. Because back in the day, a lot of guys didn't go into the arts. So when I said I was doing the play, he said, we'll see, Cliff. And they used to always make fun of Mr. Redden because he was a funny guy. And I said, but I want to do the play, but I don't want to do no damn singing. He said, well, we'll see if we put you in a play, Cliff. And so he put me in a play. So
they took you serious when you said that?
I guess he did. I was playing around, but he put me in the play. And I don't even remember studying. I don't remember what I did. I can't remember if I was nervous or not, but I was probably just acting stupid because when I say stupid, like I was that kid who would. One time my dad came to a PTA meeting. My dad only went to one PTA meeting in his whole life. And I was in the 3rd grade, I was a patrol boy. And somebody dared me to lay in the middle of the street. And I did it. And my dad came home from the PTA meeting. He said, who are you supposed to be? Red Fox and Richard Pryor laying in the middle of the street? I used to do goofy stuff. And back in the day in elementary school, I volunteered for the plays and all that stuff, but I never really just did it for fun.
Yeah.
So he put me in a play, and after the play, I remember my Spanish teacher, well, my dad came to the play. And in the middle of the play, my dad, who drank, and I called my cousin, I said, please do not let my dad drink if he comes to the play. Now, my gym is probably from this wall to that wall, right? And the gym was like a multi-purpose gym. It was the cafeteria, the gym, and the auditorium at the same time.
So they had to fit all that into one space.
Yes, one space. So I'm on stage, and in the middle of the show, Little Abner's a musical. So we're running around, we get zapped. So I'm frozen on the stage like this. And I'm standing next to one of my buddies named James Wheeler, and I heard my dad say, "That's my boy." And my dad walked up to the stage and tried to shake my hand. And if you know anything about being around black folks, they made fun of me for like months. Every time I walked in class, "That's my boy. Hey man, give me." And I almost dropped out of school. But it was funny at the same time, you know. So after the play, my Spanish teacher came to me because, you know, back in my day, it was what I call a chameleon effect. If you were dark and rowdy like I was, most people thought you were gonna end up in jail. And I'm not saying all teachers, but some of my teachers, I'm sure, you know. And so my Spanish teacher came to me and she said, Clifton, you know, and then, you know, when you come from the hood, it's like, this guy seems like a nice guy, but he's always in trouble. Maybe playing an actor or being an actor might save him, you know? Because a lot of times teachers are really rooting for you, you know? Yeah. And I really was that guy, always, you know, even at St. Anthony's, cutting class and getting in trouble, but not really bad stuff, but just, you know, every now and then. So she said, why don't you try acting? I'm like, bitch, I ain't trying to be no actor. Get out of my face.
You trying to play football?
Football was over.
Oh.
After football, I was going to be a bus driver. And somebody told me bus drivers made $6.50 an hour. Because I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken making $1.25 an hour. So I said, once I graduate from high school, if I'd be a bus driver at $6.50 an hour, I'd be a millionaire in like 35 years. That's what I thought, you know, which is a long time.
Yeah.
So my niece came to the play, which is JB's sister, and, you know, I live with them on the weekends, and she's very proud. She says, Clifton, you really were good in the play. Maybe you should try acting. I'm like, I couldn't call her a bitch. So I was like, you know, I'm good. I think I'm going to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken or be a bus driver. And, you know, sometimes I say the Spears have a different plan for you. The guy that played the lead in the play, his name was David Jackson. He said, and my nickname was Sweet Pea. He said, P, there's a workshop program because there's another guy at St. Anthony's named Rusty who took dance at this place called Workshop for Careers in the Arts. And some of the students from Howard taught there. And Debbie Allen was my dance teacher. And she went to Howard and she taught there, and there's several other, you know, teachers that went to Howard. So he said, why don't you come up with me and audition? I'm like, dude, I ain't trying to do no damn audition. I don't even know what an audition is.
So at this time, you didn't really have a love for acting?
I had nothing for acting.
You just did it?
I was just effing around, bro.
Okay.
And he said, why don't you ride up with me? I was like, nah, I'm good. And then I realized like he was like a soft kind of kid. So I said, I'd ride up with him. And that's how I got started. They kept coming out and asked me to come in. And finally, after the fourth time, I said, yo, man, what you want me to do? He said, come in and do an audition. And I did it, and they put me in the program. And the first 6 months of the program, I was so hood that I was scaring everybody because I had a gap here, 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 here. My hair was like super beady before we got the blowout kit, and you could curl your hair a little bit. And I was from the hood, so I had a different edge about me, and it was scaring all the teachers, you know, and probably some of the students too. But I wasn't really hurting anybody, but I just had an edge about me. So they wanted to put me out of the program. And one of the guys went to the board and said, this kid, his name is Charles Brown, one of my, you know, angels, and said, listen, I think this kid has something. Now, mind you, when I do lectures, I was the worst actor you have ever seen in the history of acting. I mean, just dreadful. And he said, I think you got something. I'm like, dude, what do you see? So, you know, back in the day, from where I'm from, you know, guys didn't wear leotards and tights. I never seen nobody in the hood with no leotards and tights and ballet shoes.
Right.
So I wouldn't wear the shit. And he said, listen, I'm going to keep you in the program. You're going to be with me. You're not going to change classes, but you got to wear your leotards and tights. And finally, after about 20 minutes of us sitting in a room like this and just staring at each other, I said, listen, Charlie, if you want me to wear my leotards and tights, I will. And I was uncomfortable, but I stayed in. And then the rest is history. And they helped me get into college and the whole thing.
So when did you first arrive into Hollywood? And what was that like for you?
I think the first thing that really popped out when I got to Hollywood was Rock, the TV show Rock. I did Rock. It was supposed to be one episode, and I ended up doing 10. And I know the premiere episode, because it was live, my phone rang every hour, every 20 minutes for like 3 straight hours all around the country, because the show was live. And, my friends and family, it was really eerie, fun kind of eerie, but it was like, wow. And then after that, I got Minister Society, and then I got Dead Presidents, and then, I've just been blessed ever since.
Yeah. And who was your first Hollywood star that you met?
The first guy I think I met was Blair Underwood,
Okay.
and then, of course, Charles Dutton, Glenn Turman. I did a thing called Equal Justice with Joe Morton. Vanessa Bell Calloway was one of the stars of that show. And then I did House Party with Martin, and none of them were famous at the time. I mean, well, Martin wasn't, and Tisha Campbell, but Joe Morton was at that time. So, but Charlie Dutton was the biggest star I'd met.
I heard you mention Dead Presidents. So how did you come up with the character Cuddy?
I didn't come in. I mean, the character was already in the script.
Oh,
I was just able to kind of embellish on Cuddy a little bit. And when I do lectures, I tell everybody that I watched John Malkovich in a Line of Fire. And I kind of wanted to turn Cuddy. If you see the scene, I said, hey, man, I don't want no problems. I'm a friend. If you need any help, I'm here for you, just like I've been here for Juanita. You were in the war, and you never, reached out to her, so I've been here. But you back now, I'm gone. I don't want no problems. And then he said, stay the F away from my family. And then, of course, I knock him down the steps and put a gun in his mouth and the whole thing. So, but I derived a lot of that character from how John Malkovich approached Clint Eastwood in A Line of Fire. Yeah.
So in the acting industry, do they always give you a role? You're not able to craft your own character?
Unless you write the script.
Unless you write the script.
Yeah, So like Pinky, for instance, people think I created Pinky. That was a character that Ice Cube put in, Next Friday. And
Next Friday, yeah.
I put my own, the twists and turns and the outfit and all that stuff on it,
So how did you get that role in Next Friday?
Just went in for an interview, and the casting director felt like I might have been right for it, and just acted crazy, and it just me and Ice Cube kind of helped me shape that character.
Yeah.
I did a movie called The Breaks where I jumped around and did all of that. Say it again, and so a lot of the dialogue was already in there, and I added some of the physical movement where he jumps around and all that kind of crazy stuff, and I kind of did some of that in The Breaks. So as me and Cube were working on that scene in the record shop, I really wasn't getting it at first. And then he said, a lot of times actors don't like to give, a lot of times directors don't like to give actors direction. And they kind of like
Improvise.
They don't like to say, do it like this. They kind of want you to find it. So I told Cube after about 4 times, just he and I working on it, I said, take the gun. He says, so he took the gun that I had. He says, I blow your head smooth off. And I think from my improv skills, The Breaks movie jumped in my head. And so I took the gun, I said, I blow your head smooth off, and I start turning. I said, say it again. He said, what did you just do? I said, I don't know. He said, do that again. And then we kind of built on that. And that's how we found that crazy character, Pinky.
What has been your favorite role to play, and why?
I have a lot of favorites. Ray was amazing. The role on Rock was amazing. Pinky has been amazing. Dead Presidents, of course. But I think when you get a chance to play a character like Martin Luther King, that's like iconic, and I wasn't the first choice for that role, so I was able to kind of really be prepared and go in and win that role. And I think for me, I can't say that's the pinnacle of my career, but to play such an iconic figure and try to do it as real as possible was a highlight of my career.
So with these people you act with, do you have strong relationships with them, or is it just for...
Sometimes you do.
Okay.
Sometimes you do. But a lot of times you shoot TV shows and movies out, especially TV movies, you shoot out of sequence. So, you might do episode 1 and 2. You might see Sam Jackson and Kevin Hart, and then you may not see those guys for the rest of the show because they're in a different episode and all of that stuff. And movies kind of work the same way, But, over the years, like I've worked with Terrence Howard several times.
Yeah.
I've been knowing Taraji, but I just finally worked with her. I've known Sam 40 years, but I just finally worked with him,
Yeah.
So, but you do establish some out. Like Angela Bassett and I started together in New York, so I run into her from time to time, and we have a different kind of connection. So it's touch and go there, you know.
And with Ray being one of your favorite movies that you acted in, do you have a strong relationship with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, I think so. I would hope so.
Yeah.
You know? No, honestly, Jamie put me in Ray. You know, Jamie, fought for me to be in Ray, and Jamie and I, ironically, me, Chris Tucker, who am I thinking of? Mark Curry, Jamie Foxx, me, Mark Curry, and Chris Tucker all live in the same building in Midtown LA in near Hollywood.
Awesome.
So we all knew each other from beginning.
Awesome. So I know we talked about race just a little bit. I kind of want to circle back and ask this one question.
Mm-hmm.
As an actor, did you have any barriers as a black man?
Oh yeah, I've faced some issues in Hollywood. I lost a role because the network, which I won't name, said that they thought I was too dark and would scare everybody. I got fired from a show because I wouldn't play the coon on the show. And I'm sure that, back in my day, to be a strong, dark black man wasn't as popular as it is now, thanks to Sidney Poitier and Wesley Snipes and some of those strong, dark men who've come along. But, I think I didn't grow up with racism. I grew up with my nephew played basketball, so we had black friends, white friends, Asian friends, Latino friends, and I just didn't grow up with that kind of racial discrimination around me. Although I grew up in the '60s in D.C. And the riots took place in D.C., I wasn't affected by any of that directly. So when I got to Hollywood and I heard those things, it just didn't stop me. I just kept going, and I think it's a lot better now. And we got to keep working on it in this country and in the business. All the isms, sexism, ageism, all of it.
And as a man like me looking from the outside in, is it still like that in the acting industry? Is it less or is it more?
I believe it's gotten better.
Okay.
I believe it's gotten better. I still think there are things that need to improve, but I think as a whole, Hollywood has tried to do better. And, I've been working steady. I'm still a dark-skinned, strong black man. Maybe there's some roles that maybe they wouldn't put me against a cool white guy. I don't know. Or a cool black guy, I'm doing a piece that I'm not going to talk about, can't say the name, but it's about 5 or 6 African-American stars in there, which I've never seen. So Ray was one of the first when you had Jamie and Lorenz and Terrence Howard, myself, Wendell Pierce. So it's gotten better. Regina King, Anjanou Ellis. So, I think Hollywood's trying. I think we always can do better.
Yeah.
Always. I think everybody's journey in Hollywood is different. There's a lot of history. I tell people, do the history of Hollywood. Because when you go to drama school, they don't teach the history of Hollywood. Hollywood's been a wild, crazy place from the 1900s. And it's changed a lot. Like I did a TV series last year, they had an intimacy coordinator on the set. That has never been back in my day. So they're trying, and there are things in place. So my journey is particular to me. I can't say what anybody else went through.
Yeah.
I went through some of the things that you've heard about. I've gone through them, but I never let them stop me because I never came to Hollywood to be a star. I didn't have any plans to be in Hollywood. So nobody's going to force me to do anything. Nobody's going to dangle money in front of me to make me do anything. I'm my own person because it wasn't my passion, but also the way I was raised. I grew up in the 60s in the middle of, the civil rights movement and with, teachers who were black militants and who were revolutionaries, and they instilled in me a certain level of pride. And, and that doesn't deter me. That doesn't make me better than anyone else. It's just that I have a standard for myself that you can't force me to do anything, whether it's, paying me $50 billion a day. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So
that's real.
That's how I got through it.
Are there any projects you're working on right now, but you're not allowed to discuss?
Oh, well, one project I can't say the name, but this is a TV series. I think I'm doing about 3 or 4 episodes. I just did an episode of BMF, and I'm doing a thing with my man Manny Haley, who did Dutch, called Legacy with Ving Rhames, who he and I started together 40 years ago. Lisa Ray is on there. And then there's another project that I think Jamie Foxx is producing, his company, that I'm slated to do probably at the end of May. That's it. As we've been on strike for like the last 8 or 9 months. So
What
everybody
does that
says
What does that mean? Strike?
the actors strike. The writers went out first. It was a writer's strike. And then in July, the actors went out. So we stayed out from July, well, technically June until like December.
Okay.
So we're just getting back to work, and the business is just starting to get back up.
Did it have something to do with the pandemic at all?
No, this is post-pandemic.
Oh, okay.
This has something to do with the writers' contracts and AI and commercial stuff and all these streaming platforms that
Yeah.
you see in terms of residuals and pension money and all that stuff.
For someone like me that wants to be a part of the acting industry and I'm stepping foot in Hollywood, what real talk advice would you give someone that's starting out in the shark-infested waters of Hollywood?
Well, I think the first thing I tell everybody is that you have to get your training. When you see Sam Jackson or Denzel or Viola Davis or Taraji Henson or Al Pacino, De Niro, we're all trained actors. Angela Bassett, Charles Dutton, myself, Delroy Lindo. We're all trained actors who have worked years before anybody knew our name. Morgan Freeman, who I met in an audition back in 1981. I didn't meet him. I saw him there, and I was like, oh, that's Morgan Freeman. And, he got that movie called Street Smarts, and he's not been out of work since. But we're all trained actors. I went to Emerson College, and I studied drama. And first I went to Workshop for Careers in the Arts. I should say Workshop for Careers in the Arts, which is now Duke Ellington High School. And they merged and formed Duke Ellington High School. Then I went to Emerson. And then after Emerson, I stayed around in Boston and took improv, and I became a puppeteer. And then I got to New York, I think, in 79. And from 79 to 89, I was on the stage in New York doing off Broadway and doing stage readings and improv work. And so, before people even knew my name, I had 15 years of training.
So it's all about experience?
I think it's all about training and faith. The early part of my career, I was bombing out, not booking, but I just never quit. When I fell in love with it, and then I couldn't do it. I didn't go pursue anything else. I said, I'm gonna stick with this. And I've had some rough times.
Did you ever have times where you felt like giving up and just?
Oh yeah. I felt like many times. But part of that came out of my frustration of having a bad audition. I auditioned for one of my teachers from high school, and she was in New York doing a Broadway show, and I was homeless at the time, and she actually let me to stay at her house for a few months, and I had to audition for her, and I was dreadful, and I know she was embarrassed for me. We never talked about it, but then she saw me on Minister Society and said, "Clifton, that's my Clifton," because she was really like a family member. As I was coming through the business, I had no money. Times I had no food and nowhere to live, and she took me in. And at the end of the day, I know she was embarrassed for me, but I think she was proud of the fact that I didn't quit.
Yeah.
I think failure either breaks you or you just decide I can't go down any further. Let me just keep working.
Yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far. As far as announcements, like I mentioned in my talk show episodes, I have a new series coming out, and we have merch coming out this month. So I will keep everyone updated on IG, YouTube, TikTok, etc. Just make sure you follow the pages to stay updated. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This will be the format of the podcast moving on. As far as the student episodes that I've been doing throughout the whole semester, I'm going to put a pause on those for now throughout the summer, so I can focus and perfect these talk show episodes that I'm originally passionate about. But yeah, I'm going to vault those for now. This podcast will most definitely be the benchmark for the future podcasts that I'm aiming to do. Not saying that the student episodes weren't good, but as far as substance, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys value as well. So if you were a student or someone local that wants to be on the show, try to acquire some substance so that the viewers can also gather some value. And then, of course, the debates, I love having a good controversial debate with students. So unless you have a brand business or just want to get into some type of controversial conversation, we can do all that down the road. But hope you guys enjoy the remainder of the video. Let's get back to today's episode. From your perspective, looking from the outside in, do you think it's easier for guys like me or young men to make it into the same industry?
Well, I think it's wide open now. There are 55 outlets.
Yeah.
So it's not the same when I started. So if you have a dream and you can go get your own funding, you got a great script, you can go produce your own movies and find a way to get it on Hulu or Peacock or Tubi or Maverick. There's a lot of ways to do it now as opposed to when I started. It's a whole different playing field.
So without someone that doesn't have a support system, can they still make it into the industry, or is it?
It's a tough business.
Yeah.
Even now it's still tough. It's tough financially.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you. Everybody comes from a family of somebody. Network, make friends, stay connected to your family if you can, and just don't quit. I believe you can do anything if you don't quit, whether you have a base or not, a supportive base. I just think you have to have a mentality of you're not quitting, and that's really what I say. All you need is faith the size of a mustard seed.
You don't have to be good to start, right? You just have to believe in yourself.
Most of us are not good when we start,
You said you weren't good when you
I
started.
was horrible. I was past bad, But you stay with it and you learn. I had to learn the art of the technique of acting and train. It's like basketball, it's like football, anything else. Nobody starts out great, And look at what's my man, Tom Brady. He was what round did he go in, So it's just, and a lot of times I don't know if people are prepared to do 100% for like 15 years.
Yeah.
After about 10 years, people get worn out,
Yeah.
And I tell people you just got to keep grinding. A guy said to me, a steady drop breaks the rock. And you just keep going. In sales, a no means yes. So if you tell me no Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to be right back there again, knocking on your door. You tell me no on Wednesday, next Friday, I'm going to be right back knocking on your door. Tell me no next Friday, next Saturday, after the next Saturday, be right back knocking on your door. One of those days, you're going to say, you know what, you're really bugging me. How much is the vacuum cleaner? Get out of my face. And I made myself. So it's a mentality that, when you see a Sam Jackson or Angela Bassett or Al Pacino, if people know the story of Al Pacino, Francis Ford Coppola saw him in a play on Broadway, and the producers did not want him. And Francis fought for him to a point where he almost lost the movie because he just believed in him. So it's going to happen if you stay in it.
Clifton, that's so real because I can apply that to where I'm at today.
Yeah.
Even doing this podcast with you, I reached out to you like 2 months ago. I kept on going. I had my moments saying, let me just stop.
Bro, when I say, I know I teased you on the way in, you definitely are Williams, Of course, I've been friends with your family, and that helps, but my schedule has been impossible. If you call twice, and I think we've tried to do this about a month now.
Yeah.
Most people give up. Most people give up. And I admire your tenacity. And at the same time, if you go too far, then some people shut down. But I think it's the networking. Again, you're like family.
Yeah.
But that's not going to keep me here. That's not going to make me come. That's part of it. But it's your tenacity. Because if you would have said a month ago, Cliff, I need you Friday, I'm not available, and I haven't been available, but you didn't stop calling. And I said, this little mother hunchy is something. I like it, and that makes you go, you know what? I like this guy. I like his drive. I like your tenacity. And you have a vision. And you just have to believe in it, and that's what it is. Yeah. And I also think networking helps, but that's not all it is. It takes a lot of different things to be successful.
Really have to put yourself outside your comfort zone too.
You really have to get outside your comfort zone. You have to think outside of the box. But I think also you have to be nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not nice. You really have to be. Lou Gossett, God rest his soul, who I work with, who is one of the famous guys I met later in my career, said he has a book called An Actor and a Gentleman. And a lot of times, being nice and being a gentleman or being a true lady will get you further than even tenacity. Some people are tenacious, but they're, jerks. And you just like, you know what? Tell them I'm not available. I'm out of town, Yeah. So it's not just the networking. It's all of those ingredients.
Yeah. Did you have to play any roles, or did you play any roles that you were uncomfortable with?
No, I kind of, certain roles I just don't do. Mm-hmm. This got called to play, I think this guy was a gay gangster.
A gay gangster?
Yeah, a gay gangster. And I was just not interested, I think I don't know every actor has their comfort zone, but I have a comfort zone for myself as a man, as a person.
Okay.
And that's not any knock on anybody else, because this is my journey and I decided how I want to do it, you know. So
Okay.
I don't think I played a role. I did play one role in Women Are Loosed, and people don't know how I got that role because I caught a lot of flack. But Reuben Cannon, who put me in Why Do Fools Fall in Love, Buffalo Soldiers, Selma, Lord Selma as Dr. King, called me on the day of shooting and said one of his actors dropped out. And Reuben has been wonderful in my career, so supportive. And I said, okay, I'll come in. And I didn't read the script. And I got there and I read it and I was like, listen, I'm gonna do this role, but I have a daughter, I'm uncomfortable, and I'm not touching that little girl. I think we can assimilate that I was in the room. And I've caught a lot of flack for that, but that's how that role came about. And I'm glad we get a chance to put that out there. I was uncomfortable. But at the end of the run of that movie, we did seminars, not seminars, but question and answers afterwards. Found out that a lot of women have been physically and sexually abused who were able to talk and get some help around all of those issues because of that movie. So I wouldn't say I was proud of that role because he was a sleazy guy, but I'm glad I did it for the fact that it was able, as art can help people overcome a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
But I've been a working actor for the last 35 years. And I think I saw Sam made a quote the other day, and I want to misquote him. He said he just considers himself a working actor.
A working actor.
You know, I'm a working actor. I've been a working actor, just like people go to the post office and stay 35 years. I don't go to other jobs unless it's something like this, and this is not paying. But if it was paying, I'd be here if this is something I wanted to do. I've been a working actor for 35, close to 40 years. To me, that's successful. I don't measure my success by having an Academy Award or Emmy or.
So the fame and the attention isn't as important.
Not for me.
Okay.
If fame really and the attention is really a double-edged sword, you know.
Yeah.
So many people are jealous of you. So many people hate on you because you're famous or famous in their heads. So let me just be clear. If you're not a movie star if you don't open a movie. There's only a few actors who really open movies. Halle, Denzel, Eddie Murphy, Will Smith. The rest of us are working actors.
Yeah.
And it may sound strange, and maybe I may get some flack. So-and-so opens. Okay, well, go give me their numbers. We've been working Sam, Denzel, Angela, you know, Taraji. We've been working actors. And in some places, we talk about the Oscar being the kiss of death. Because once you hit that top, there's nowhere to go but down. Kevin Bacon said one day in an interview, he said, the best place to be in Hollywood is in the middle. And I think I landed in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I do commercials, I do plays, I do personal appearances, I do podcasts, I do television, I do radio, I do film,
And
I do music videos. I just did a Busta Rhymes music video. It paid me great money. So I think we have to, you know, I think there's a stereotype that comes with underrated.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've grown as an actor. I think I'm respected for the work that I've done.
100%.
But I don't buy into that part of it. I don't buy in. And the guy asked me the other day, let's go back to Damon Wilson, who was on the Red Fox show. And for all the people that are listening, I'm not going to say what he said. Go back and listen to what he said about getting to the top and the tricks that you have to do to get there.
So there's no real desire to make it to the very top.
I just started because I want to play football.
Yeah.
I remember in '92, my agent asked me if I want to be rich. I was like, no, I just want to act. She said, well, I want to be rich. I never thought about the money. I never thought about it. I fell in love with the art.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, stardom, you know, a lot of Hollywood actors who are stars start out good and end bad.
Yeah.
I consider myself a working actor, maybe very popular, and not just in the African-American community. But I've been a working actor, and I don't know if that was my goal. I didn't have a goal. I was just doing it because I fell in love with it at some point. And I think it's, you know, when you work for awards, and I don't knock anybody else. This is just me talking. I don't work for awards. I like to make black people proud by doing great work, and I get a lot of respect. But if I never get an Oscar, if I never get an Emmy or an NAACP award, I've got a couple of those, but those are my peers. It's still, you know, it's not going to stop me from trying to do great work every time I, you know, hit the screen or hit the stage. And I think that it helps me stay grounded, you know, and it helps me not be disappointed.
Yeah.
you know, because I've done a lot of Oscar-worthy work. Sam, to me, I mean, in Time to Kill, if you saw Time to Kill, he should have won 9 Oscars for that, you know? That didn't stop Sam, you know? You know, he's a cool cat. And I think we just have to, you have to find your own battleground, a battlefield in this business. And, you know, I never got into it to be famous. I never got into it to be rich. I never got into it to think that I would be popular. Just fell in love with it, to do the art, you know?
Yeah. And being in the middle keeps you on your feet. There's a balance to it. It's not too comfortable, not too uncomfortable.
Being a popular entertainer is a pain in the ass, really. There's so many people that hate you. A guy came to my page the other day. He said, I don't watch shit Clifton Powell does. All he does is play rapists and killers, which is not true. But this guy never met me, doesn't know me. Obviously hasn't done his research. I play more pastors and good guys than anything, you know? You can't, the best a good guy you can play is Dr. King. This girl said, are you gonna be killing people in this movie? I'm like, no, I'm Dr. King, baby. So it's just gotta do, my manager used to say to me, when I first got to LA, just do the work. And if you look at Sam Jackson, who I think is at the pinnacle of what I'm saying, he does the work. And he's just a normal guy, does the work.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get disappointed because you didn't get an Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, Oscar, if you look at the trending, I mean, if you look at the trajectory of actors who've gotten Oscars, their careers bomb out. Not all of them. I don't want to say, well, I ain't got an Oscar and so-and-so got an Oscar. I'm just telling you statistics. Yeah. It's like I was listening to somebody the other day. I got people that play, you know, NBA basketball. 70% of the NBA is broke within 7 years out the league. 90% are broke within 9 years out of the league. It's not a great job. It's only 5 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you do the history of Hollywood, a lot of us start out great and end up bad.
What I think it is, again, looking from the outside in, it's once you achieve greatness, once you make it to that peak, it's hard to maintain it. So maintaining that relevancy is much harder than actually making it to that.
Well, if you're
category.
trying to if that's what you're trying to do, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you come out of Juilliard, you say, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to win Oscars. Who knows where you're going to land? So if you don't get an Oscar, did you fail? I think a lot of this business is just ego-driven. I tell all of my students, go listen to Dr. King and the Drum Major Instinct. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be important, even when they don't deserve it, or even when it's not something that they tried to do. Everybody wants to be out front. I don't have those kind of aspirations. I just was doing good work, and I think it kept me grounded in the early part of my career. So anyone that has worked with me who knows me, I try to come to work. I try to have fun. I put my ego in my work. There's certain actors you can't be on set with them. You can't be in their eye line. They have you put off the set. I don't understand none of that.
Well, I also think that's any business, you know, it being ego-driven. I think you have to have an ego to an extent so that you don't step down, I guess. You don't step down to a certain category if you know your worth. So is that ego-driven in your opinion when you know your worth?
I think that's just good business.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of actors that people hate because they're assholes.
Yeah. If you could restart your whole acting journey, what would you do differently?
Fix my credit first. I told somebody the other day my whole career, when I was making tons of money, I had a 550 credit score. And then I met an actress who was very famous, and I said something to her, and she said, well, if you come to my house, you got to stay. I wish I had gone to her house, not to be intimate, but to help understand how to move to the next level in the business, because my divorce, you know, and they don't tell you the divorce rate in Hollywood is 90 to 95%. So my divorce cost me about $10 million. So had I made that move, I probably would have never been married, and I probably would have gone to a different level. Yeah. But I landed where I did because I think it's being in the middle is a great place to be. It's a great place, you know. Somebody said to me the other day, well, what about Angela Bassett? I said, Angela Bassett makes $450,000 a week in television. That's a damn good living. That's damn $2 million a year, $2.5 million a year. You know, the middle is a good place.
Yeah.
Good place. So I think there's a lot of things that people out in the world get about the arts that they should probably come sit and talk with somebody like me or Denzel or Angela Bassett, who started at zero. I told somebody the other day, I said, if you had a car to drive to meet me, you had more money than we did.
Yeah.
I didn't get my first car until I was like 45. And that was like a little teeny Ford Festiva, you know? So I think, you know, and this is not, I'm sure somebody call in and say, oh, he's lying. I saw him with a big Denali. It's 40 years later, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I deserve whatever nice things that I have because I work my ass off. And I try to give 100 every percent. So I think for young actors, get your training and just try to come and do 100. Try to be nice. Try to be prepared. Try to be nice to the people around you. And that doesn't mean you have to be overly nice. Just be a nice person. You're going to work with all different types of people. And that keeps you working.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, I haven't done a big Hollywood movie in years. I got Fight Night because Will Packer is my friend, but also I did The Gospel with Will 25, 22 years ago. And he remembered me. And he remembered that I wasn't a jerk on the set.
Yep.
That's what keeps people working.
Well, one thing I had to learn is that sometimes people don't like you just because there's no reason. Some people are not gonna like you for no reason.
And why do you think that is? Because they don't like themselves. First, I tell people, don't listen to nobody tell you shit. You know how many times they told, I was at dinner with a girl one time, this is years ago. I'm sure her ass is watching me on TV. Like one friend of mine said, her mom said, girl, you got off the train too damn fast. You meet a billions of people who have a billion different things to say. This is what I tell people, do the work. And I remember sitting at dinner and I said, I'm gonna be an actor. I'm so poor, I could barely pay for dinner. She said, I don't know why you're gonna be acting, you're never gonna make it. As soon as I got to the door, we were both going this way, and then I let her go that way and I went that way. Because I think if you listen to people, if this is what the angels and the gods have for you, go for it. If that's your passion, you know they told all kinds of people they want to go. I ran into Gabrielle Surde, and she talked about her being dark and big, and she killed Precious. She killed it, and now people calling her for money. Hey, don't listen to people. Yeah. You know, me and your uncle started together, man, and we both were so poor, and we've done well. And I think you got to put that. And I don't think everybody can do that because somehow in your brain, some people get in just to be famous. Yeah. There are a lot of famous people that people don't respect their work. You're gonna walk off the set and they can say, "Man, that cat right there. What's his name? I don't know his name, but he came, did an amazing job." I would never want to, and I'll stop here, but there's a lot of information in my head. I would never want to come on a set, open a movie, and when you walk into the premiere, people are like, "Oh, here he comes." Yeah. I didn't really like him in the movie. It was really horrible. Hey, Charles, how you doing? Loved you in the movie.
So a lot of people in the industry, a lot of people judge off of the roles you play rather than the person you are.
People judge off the roles you play. Sometimes people don't even. One guy said, "I think this guy's a real killer in real life." Now I've had a fight since the 4th grade. I think what happens is, and I'm not saying this is specific to African Americans, but I think they think we're not trained. Yeah. Like we are trained. I'm just as trained as De Niro. Yeah. Or Pacino. Or Dustin Hoffman. And I take it personal. I go on IG and I like, do you say that about Joe Pesci? He be killing people in every movie. Him and De Niro kill more people in the movies than I ever seen. Real and fast. He hit you with the ice pick. Bam. You out of here. Luca Bronco, what was it? Luca Bronco, whatever his name was in Godfight, kill him fast. They're trained actors. We're not real pastors. And I did Dr. King. I was like, now it doesn't matter what happens now. Girl say, Dr. King. I said, girl, my name is Cliff. Oh, damn, Dr. King. I ran into a guy in a store when I was with my girl. He's like, oh, that's the nigga from Women Are Loose who raped kids. I'm like, man, I'll punch you in your fucking mouth. You know what I'm saying? The fuck out of here with that. It's a character. Yeah. It's not real. There was no real little girl who got raped in a movie. Stop doing that. It's insulting to me and my fellow actors of color because you're taking our training away. I played from Pinky to Rush Hour to rock, a drug dealer. So I went from Black Lightning as a pastor to Pinky to Cuddy to Chauncey to Dr. King, all 5 different characters because I'm trained.
Yeah.
And when I got to Emerson in 1974, I sounded like this. Hi, my name is Clifton Powell. I'm going to be an actor. So while everybody else was outside partying, smoking weed, and having sex, I was in my room with my tape recorder. And my voice teacher, my speech teacher at the time would go, Dr. Cornell, God rest his soul, at Emerson. Hi, my name is Clifton Powell. Hi, my name is Clifton Powell. And that was when you had tape recorders. People don't remember that. Now I'm in the dorm at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hi, my name is Clifton Powell. Hi, my name is Cliff. It took me 4 years of speech classes. And then I took dialect classes so I can go in and say to you, I come here from Ghana. I mean, it's training. And so I think African-American artists, can't speak for everybody else. I can say my experience has been, I run into my Mother Hunchies, trying not to cuss too much, and it's insulting to me. I mean, almost to a point where I'm in a club or at a party and somebody really want to fight me. I'm an actor. I'm a character actor.
Yeah.
I've never been arrested, never been on drugs. I take care of my kids, and I haven't had a fight since the 4th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all an illusion.
Yeah.
It's scary because there are people who, like the girl in Hollywood who got stalked. God came and killed her. It's really, in closing on this, is really fairly perilous in terms of being an artist.
Yeah.
So I think we have to change the narrative. At least if I'm responsible, I'm going to do that because we have to think outside of the box. You know, African Americans, I'm an artist. I create characters, and I'm trained. Yeah. And we need to get the same props that De Niro gets, or Pacino, or any one of those white actors get to the next level. Because Sam Jackson is a master.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of understand all of that in my brain. So that's what keeps me grounded. It's a weird place for all the people that say, oh yeah, I saw Cliff Powell, I saw Sam, man, he came in this Rolls Royce. For every person like that, is 20 people that hate you. Just out the blue. I've had people come to me out the blue. Sup, nigga? You think you all that? I'm like, bro, I don't even know who you are. It's weird. And if you ain't got security, you can't. I would give me a story. I'm in Albany, New York. Troy, New York. No, Albany, outside of Troy.
Okay.
Hanging out with my oldest son. This was when I was doing rock. And he left, took my car and went to hang out with some girl. So I'm in this little small bar. And I go to the bathroom, and it's 5 black guys, 6'5" and up, shooting dice and snorting cocaine. So I go tend to my business, and I'm walking out the door, and one of the guys said, yo, my man, what the fuck is up? I was like, excuse me? He said, yo, nigga, what the fuck I said? Sup, nigga, oh, Hollywood ass nigga. And I'm by myself, bro. I'm about to write my book, and I really want to do a podcast and let people understand what this thing is like. That's why a lot of entertainers travel with security and don't deal with people. Because for every person that likes you, there's 10 people that hate you for no reason. So he blocked the door. I said, what's up, my man? He said, yo, nigga. Oh, Hollywood ass nigga. Now all the guys have surrounded me. And it's me and him in the middle. And I'm by myself. And my heart is beating like a drum. But I stood toe to toe with this nigga. He said, yo, nigga, let me ask you a question, oh Hollywood ass nigga. I said, what's up, nigga? He said, what the fuck is you giving back, nigga? I said, what the fuck is you giving back? I said, I give back, nigga. I grew up in the streets, in the hood. When I'm working or not working, I go into the prisons and talk to the brothers and sisters. I go into the high schools and tell them my story and tell them they can make it. I said, so what the fuck are you talking about? And he just stood there and they always froze and they said, all right, nigga, you cool in this motherfucker, nigga, because you hadn't got that shit right, nigga. We was gonna kill you in here. I was like, yeah, well, I'm good, nigga. He said, let me get an autograph, nigga. This really happened. I said, hey, yo, nigga, let me get your autograph. This nigga's like, stop playing, nigga. And I walked out and called my son and said, get me the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. But it's real, bro.
Yeah.
And I take it seriously. So when you're an entertainer and you make a lot of money, more than most people, and you do well, it's a double-edged sword. And I have a hard time with it at times. It's a double-edged sword. Nikki Giovanni says somebody should write a poem for Aretha. So the regular working class person, we are working class people,
Yeah.
don't understand that we are just human beings who have the same pressures that you do.
Yep.
And it's just because we're in the media. If I go out of here right now and go to 12 and have a drink and drive and hit somebody, I'm gonna be on TMZ.
Yep.
Oh, Cliff Powell's drunk, killed 2 people, and they could have run out in the street. And I got more stories about being set up and all the shit that I've been through that I'm gonna save for my book. And it's very scary. It costs you your freedom.
Yep.
So it's a lot. I would love for people to really be in our shoes for like a week.
Just to see what it's like.
Just to see what it's like. And then there's a whole nother level of family and people who try to set you up, people who only call you for money. I had a relative, last year sent him $4,000 to get a house. He just told me the other day, he said, I ain't never asked you for any money, Uncle Cliff. And I was like, really? Nigga, you forgot? I haven't forgotten. It's weird, dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of entertainers struggle with how to balance that. So I'll end this whole thing by saying, listen to Charles Barkley. I don't know if you heard what Charlie said. You know, Charlie's unfiltered. And I know Charlie might even see this. Charlie said, I ain't leaving my raggedy ass, begging ass relatives shit when I die. It's real life, bro. So I think for young actors, just go do the work, man. Don't think about the money. Don't think about anything. Just do the work. Be good to people. Learn about money, because you can starve and then you can do well and then you can starve again.
Yeah.
And then you can do well again and starve again. And just try to be nice to people, because the same people you see going up, you see them coming down.
Yeah.
And it's a really slippery slope, you know? So there you have it.
I have a bonus question for you.
Okay, bonus.
What was it like with your son dating the president's daughter, Sasha?
I think it was weirder for him than for me. Because I call him, ask him, because he's like, Dad, really? Dad, really? Don't do that right now. I was like, so when we going over to the house for the picnic? He's like, Dad, stop. So it's so much formality with dating an ex-president's child.
Yeah.
That my son, because of the way I raised him and his mom, to be respectful. So he respects all the boundaries. Because I was dealing with some personal stuff, with some legal stuff. I said, do you think, get Mr. Obama? He said, Dad, let me just ease my way into it. And I think all the attention, like when they go out, it's just so overwhelming. It's just people everywhere because they're famous.
Yeah.
And my son is just like me. He's just a regular down-to-earth guy, but he's 6'6", so he stands out, But I think they weathered the storm, because initially it was like, he called me. I think he called me. He said the FBI or somebody might be calling you, or the Secret Service. I was like, for what? I ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
He said, no, it's just formality, Dad. They got to do background checks. I'm like, it's a lot of stuff. So initially when it came out, I didn't get as much, I see your daughter dating Sasha Obama, but he got it directly.
Yeah.
And I think, we have to remember that there's still young people who are trying to find their way in love. And I've learned to kind of I would love to meet the Obamas, So I told my son one day, he said, well, you haven't met your daughter's boyfriend, Maya. You haven't met her boyfriend. I'm like, you know what? And she said, they've been together longer. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So he's not one of those guys, again, ego that comes in like, yo, who I'm dating, right? He's not like that.
Very low key.
But it's a lot of pressure, for both of them. And I think it's more pressure on the girls because of who their parents are,
100%.
It's real, and I met her and Malia, and they're very nice and real down to earth,
Yeah.
So they're doing fine.
Awesome. So I end these podcasts with asking 3 simple questions. Rate your experience on a scale of 1 through 10. If you can give any constructive criticism, any advice, how I can improve as a host, and if you have any questions for me.
No, I think this has been great.
Okay.
I think you're so well prepared. So when you get a guest on, this is a set of questions, and there's no expounding on that. questions. A lot of times when people interview people, they want to get too personal. But we want to see the Sam or Denzel or Clifton Powell that we've never seen on, off camera, and get to know them as real people.
Yeah.
And you'll find that it's how the questions are directed, and oftentimes people don't do their research.
Yeah.
You was in that Tyler Perry movie, yeah. No, I never done a Tyler Perry movie. I didn't do my research. You was in Jungle Fever though, right? I'm like, no. So that's somebody. So as your job is to go away and learn about who I am, and do your research, and not just. And since your uncle knows me, it's like get some outside personal stuff. So that in that sense, you've done a great job. And I think the other thing is that you're very tenacious, because I don't do podcasts because I want to do my own podcast. So I don't think it's just because uncle is like my best friend and family. I think it's more because you were tenacious, and that's a great quality. And I think also you're a gentleman. How can you improve it? I don't know. I think you keep, just keep doing great work, and doing your research.
Yeah.
When entertainers come on, we want people to know that, that's what we do for our work, but that's not who we are in real life.
Yeah.
And I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Some great questions.
Well, Clifton Powell, thank you again for coming. I really appreciate your time. It's been a great episode.
Peace. I'm out. Don't judge me. Just telling y'all the truth. Stop playing with me.
Yes, sir. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, I'll be back in VA shortly, and the talk show episode will resume. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your night. I'm out.
I'm out.